Well, hello, Arizona. Thank you all for coming out today. It's great to be with you all. To one of the best governors in America, Governor Doug Ducey. To a real fighter in Washington, D.C., Senator Martha McSally. My friend, Congressman Gosar, Congressman Mullen, State Party Chair Kelly Ward, Tiffany Shedd, and all of you who have been with us every step of the way. It is great to be back in the Grand Canyon State. But we're all here for one reason and one reason only, and that is that Arizona and America need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. You know, it's amazing to think we're just 4 days away from a great victory all across Arizona and all across America, and the road to that victory goes straight through Arizona. And I came here today because we need the freedom-loving people of this great state to do just what you did in 2016. On November 3rd, we need Arizona to show America that this is Trump country. So thank you all for coming out today. It's a real joy to be with you. It is. And I want to thank some people in particular who are here. I'm honored to be joined by tribal leaders in Arizona and from all across America who are with us here today. Give them all a round of applause, will you? Especially one of the strongest advocates in this country for our Native American communities. Would you join me in thanking the Vice President of the Navajo Nation, Myron Lizer? Where are you, Myron? Thank you. Thank you for your support. It's also great to be here with a man that I served with during my years in the Congress. Before he was elected, he owned a dental practice in the area, was a small business owner for 25 years. But a good thing for Arizona and America that he responded to the call to serve in our nation's capital. And I can tell you, he's emerged as one of the greatest champions of the Constitution of the United States in the House of Representatives, and he's one of the greatest allies of President Trump and our agenda. Join me in thanking Congressman Paul Gosar, will you? Thank you, Paul. What a great guy. And finally, it really is an honor to share the stage with a woman who made history. And some of you may not know, my son is a fighter pilot stationed right here in Arizona. So we're a little bit partial to fighter pilots in our family. We actually have 2. My son-in-law is a Navy fighter pilot. But Arizona, you all know, you got a history-making woman here. The first female fighter pilot ever to fly in combat. The first woman to command a fighter squadron. And I can tell you, from the time she arrived in Washington, D.C., I was there. I was in the Congress. I saw her time in the House, and now I've seen her time in the Senate. She's emerged as one of the greatest champions of our national defense, of pro-growth policies, less taxes, less government, a strong border, and conservatives on our courts. So right after you get done re-electing President Donald Trump, the President and I need you to send Martha McSally back to the United States Senate. Would you get on your feet and show how much we're behind this extraordinary woman? Thank you, Martha. Thank you so much. You know, 4 years ago, here in Arizona, you believed we could be strong again. You believed we could be prosperous again. Arizona said yes to President Donald Trump in 2016. And from the looks of it, I know Arizona's going to say yes to 4 more years of President Donald Trump in 2020. That's what I'm talking about. And it really is because of all that we've done, all that we accomplished together since Arizona placed their faith in the man that would become our president. I mean, think about it. 4 years ago, we inherited a military that had been hollowed out by reckless budget cuts, an economy that was struggling to break out of the slowest recovery since the Great Depression. Terrorism was on the rise around the world, and we witnessed a steady assault on our most cherished values. But in 3 short years, we rebuilt our military. We revived this economy. We secured our border, supported law enforcement, and stood for life, liberty, and the Constitution of the United States. And the dramatic results on the economy really speak for themselves. You know, after Joe Biden had spent 8 years as vice president trying to tax and spend and bail us back to a growing economy, and presided over the slowest recovery in 80 years, President Donald Trump created the greatest economy in American history, and we're doing it again. Did y'all see those new GDP numbers yesterday? I mean, it is historical. I mean, the American economy grew by 33% during the third quarter, shattering any previous record. The great American comeback is on. And with 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House, we're going to bring this economy back bigger and better than ever before. I'll tell you, the president probably said it best yesterday. He said that third quarter GDP was the best in the history of the country. Not even close. And he said next year will be fantastic. You know, this great American comeback, I know the governor feels the same way as I do. It's first and foremost a testament to the character and the resilience and the strength of the American people. But it's also a tribute to a president and our allies in the Congress who worked with us to create the greatest economy the world had ever seen. It's amazing to think that now, in the midst of a global pandemic, Joe Biden wants to raise taxes by $4 trillion. And he's got his own version of the Green New Deal with a price tag of $2 trillion, and that's just a down payment. Under President Donald Trump, in our first 3 years, we cut taxes across the board for working families and businesses. We rolled back more federal red tape than any administration in history. We fought for free and fair trade, unleashed American energy, and in 3 short years, businesses created more than 7 million good-paying jobs, including more than 250,000 jobs right here in the Grand Canyon State. And that's a tribute to this president's leadership and our allies. But I got to tell you, it's also a tribute to a small businessman who decided to be your governor. Would you join me in thanking Governor Doug Ducey for being a champion for jobs and this great comeback in Arizona? Thank you, Governor. You know, when Joe Biden was vice president, America actually lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. It's true. And remember when the last president was out 4 years ago? I saw he's back on the campaign trail this week. But when he was out campaigning last time, he said those manufacturing jobs were never coming back, remember? Yeah. He said, what magic wand do you have? Well, we didn't need a magic wand. We just needed President Donald Trump in the White House. 500,000 manufacturing jobs created in just 3 years, including 16,000 right here in Arizona. It's incredible. Incredible. And when it comes to trade, so important. I love you too. Thank you. Thank you. You know, and when it comes to trade, it's so important to a state like Arizona. It's important to remember that when we took office, half of our international trade deficit was with Communist China. And Joe Biden has been a cheerleader for Communist China all along the way. He actually said that the rise of China was a positive development. Under President Donald Trump, our first day in office, we put China on notice. We imposed tariffs on China's goods coming in to the United States and made it clear that the era of economic surrender is over. And closer to home, you know, I know how important trade with Mexico and Canada is here in the Grand Canyon state. The governor and I talked about it many times. You know, for years after NAFTA was signed, Democrats loved to complain about it. And the truth is, in the heartland where I grew up, we literally saw thousands of factories closed in the wake of NAFTA. And those jobs shipped south of the border and overseas. The truth is, people like Joe Biden complained about it for years and years, but never lifted a finger to make any changes. But when the man who wrote The Art of the Deal got to the White House, man, did we get a way better deal. NAFTA is gone, and the USMCA is here to stay. And it's a win for Arizona and a win for America. It's true. It's true. Now, y'all in Arizona deserve to know that Joe Biden's running mate, Kamala Harris, who last year was the most liberal member of the United States Senate. But you deserve to know that Kamala Harris was one of only 10 senators, right, Martha? She was one of only 10 senators to vote against the USMCA, even though it was a huge win for Arizona and for our country. I mean, Kamala Harris said that the USMCA didn't go far enough on climate change. And the truth is, Kamala Harris put her radical environmental agenda ahead of Arizona jobs and Arizona workers. When it comes to trade, I'll make you a promise. President Trump will always put American jobs and American workers first. And I love Arizona. And when it comes to energy, you know, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris spent the last year saying that they were going to ban fracking and abolish fossil fuels. Now, Joe Biden was in that presidential debate last week. And how good did President Trump do in that presidential debate? Am I right? How great was that? I mean, it got to if you stuck with it, it got the end of the presidential debate. Like there was only a couple of minutes left. And they started talking about energy. And Joe Biden actually said that America needs to, quote, transition from the oil industry. I loved it when the president said, that's a big statement. And boy, was it. And the truth is, lately they've been going to places like Pennsylvania and saying that they're not going to abolish fracking. They're not going to ban. But look, Joe Biden said show the tape, and we've been showing the tape. I mean, we know what's going on here, folks. I mean, they're going to advance their radical environmental agenda. They're going to work to abolish fossil fuels. Where President Donald Trump, he's been a champion of American energy every day, and we're now a net exporter of energy for the first time in 70 years. America is energy independent under President Donald Trump. I mean, the truth is, when you look at all those policies, and that's just a few of them, men and women of Arizona, the choice we face this coming Tuesday is a choice between a Trump boom and a Biden depression. There was this nonpartisan study that just came out in Washington that said that Joe Biden's economic policies would cost America 5 million jobs and would reduce the average household income of Americans by $6,500 a year. So after you leave here today, over the next 4 days, if you come across anybody here in Flagstaff or anybody, neighbors and friends in Arizona or anywhere, I want you to tell them, you know, I was out at the airport, I ran into Mike Pence, and he said, if you're undecided, they wanted me to ask you just one question. Okay, you ready? Just look them right in the eye and say, who do you really think can bring the American economy all the way back? A career politician who spent 47 years raising taxes, growing government, waving a white flag on international trade? Or a proven job creator who's driving the fastest economic recovery in history? You ask them that. So to bring America all the way back, we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. You tell them that. You tell them. So we're talking about our prosperity, but all of you know that security is the foundation of our prosperity. And President Trump, from very early on, has put the defense and the security and the safety of America first, and we always will. It all starts with our national defense. After years of budget cuts that literally left a large portion of the aircraft in our Air Force on the ground being used as spare parts to keep other aircraft in the air when Joe Biden was vice president. And Democrats in Washington this last week, it was reported, are already talking about deep cuts in our national defense to pay for their massive big government programs. Under President Donald Trump, I'm proud to report, we're finally giving our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard the resources and the support they need to defend this nation. And it's not just about standing with those who serve. It's about standing with all of you who are with us, who wore the uniform of the United States. In fact, would the veterans among us either stand or put your hand in the air and give us a chance to say thank you one more time? Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. Thank you for our freedom. You know, when Joe Biden was vice president, America saw years of scandal at the VA. You remember? Scandals that shocked the conscience of the nation. I mean, literally, we had veterans that were dying on waiting lists, waiting to get the care that they earned in the uniform of the United States. And some of the worst abuses happened right here in Arizona. But under President Donald Trump, those days are over. This president signed the most sweeping reforms of the VA in 50 years. We fired 3,000 VA employees that weren't giving our veterans the care that they earned, and Veterans Choice is now available for every veteran in America. It really is. It's one more reason why we need 4 more years. And it's also one more reason why we need a combat veteran back on the Senate Armed Services Committee in a Republican majority. We need Senator Martha McSally back in the United States Senate. So it starts with our national defense. Standing beside those who've defended our freedom. But when it comes to law and order, I couldn't be more proud to serve alongside a president who has stood every day with the men and women who serve on the thin blue line of law enforcement. And that includes the men and women of Customs and Border Protection and ICE. You know, where Joe Biden wants open borders, taxpayer-funded health care for illegal immigrants, and Joe Biden wants to end police cooperation with ICE and suspend the Remain in Mexico program, President Donald Trump has stood strong with our great Customs and Border Protection and ICE officers. And I have to tell you, we couldn't be more proud that the National Border Union and the National ICE Council endorsed President Donald Trump for 4 more years. The results speak for themselves. With their courageous efforts and this president's leadership, this summer apprehensions for illegal immigration dropped by 70%. In our first 3 years, ICE deported over 16,000 gang members and arrested over 2,000 members of MS-13. We are keeping Arizona and America's families safe. And here in Arizona, I'm proud to report, President Trump has made record investments in border security. And where I heard today that Joe Biden says he'll stop building the wall, under President Trump, we've already built nearly 400 miles of border wall on the southern border, including 200 miles here in Arizona. And with 4 more years, we're going to build it all. You know, I'm so grateful for those that serve in uniform. My uncle was a police officer in Chicago, Illinois, and I remember when I was a little boy, my 3 brothers and I would go up to visit my grandparents. We'd be standing there in the living room, and my uncle would come walking out with that blue uniform on, the badge, sidearm, and we'd just look up at him in awe. All my heroes wear uniforms. I think you all know the men and women who serve in law enforcement across this state and nation are some of the best people in this country. And they deserve the respect of every American every day. Now, President Trump and I will always support the right of Americans to peaceful protest. It's enshrined in our Constitution. But rioting and looting, like we saw this week in Philadelphia, is not peaceful protest. Burning businesses is not free speech. You remember all summer long, all Joe Biden ever talked about was peaceful protesters, while The American people literally watched businesses in our major cities burn to the ground. Businesses like Flora Westbrook's little salon in Minneapolis. Flora is a wonderful African-American business owner who I traveled with not long ago. She started that little hair salon 35 years ago, built it up with her own two hands. It became kind of a center of the community. And she told me in the days that followed the killing of George Floyd how she watched the violent protesters go closer and closer to her little salon, to her American dream, until they burned it to the ground. You know, the truth is Joe Biden would double down on the policies that have led to violence in our major cities. When you start to withdraw support for those who protect and serve our families, you only embolden those who would do harm to our communities. Now, Joe Biden explains it all by saying that he thinks America is systemically racist. And he thinks that police have a, quote, implicit bias against minorities. When Joe Biden was asked if he'd support cutting funding for law enforcement, he said, yes, absolutely. But let me make you a promise. Under President Donald Trump, we're not going to defund the police, not now, not ever. We're going to back the blue, and we're going to back the blue for 4 more years. You know, the President and I know we don't have to choose between supporting law enforcement and supporting our African American neighbors or other minorities or families that live in our cities. We've done both for the last 4 years, and we'll keep doing both for 4 more years. We supported new funding, 4,000 new police officers on our streets. We launched Operation Legend that's seen to the arrest of more than 2,500 dangerous offenders perpetrating violence in our cities. And at the same time, we saw the lowest unemployment ever recorded for African Americans, the highest funding ever for historically black colleges and universities. We have fought for school choice for every family in every community in this state. And we've seen billions invested in opportunity zones. So men and women, we're going to have law and order in every city, in every state in this nation, for every American of every race and creed and color. So help us God. The foundation of the law and the rule of law is found in the Constitution and in our judiciary that defends it. And I'm proud to report to you today, with the support of the people of Arizona in 2016, with the strong support of Senator Martha McSally, this president's already seen more than 220 conservative judges appointed to our federal courts at every level. And they are all men and women who will uphold the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution, like the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, and the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. And that includes Justice Neil Gorsuch, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, and Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Isn't she great? I'll tell you what, those hearings, I never thought a judiciary hearing would be fun to watch, but boy, that was. Justice Amy Coney Barrett's going to make an incredible contribution. Because this really is about having a Supreme Court that won't legislate from the bench, a Supreme Court that will uphold our Constitution, right, Paul? And I can assure you, she and the whole generation of men and women the President has appointed to our courts will. Because it really is about our liberties. I mean, you all deserve to know that when Joe Biden was Vice President, we saw a steady assault on the freedom of religion of Americans. We did. There was an erosion of the conscience rights of doctors and nurses and religious charities under the last administration. And they even hauled a group of nuns into federal court to force them to compromise their faith to live under the mandates of Obamacare. And 2 years ago, when Amy Coney Barrett was going through a confirmation for the Court of Appeals, you might remember the leading Democrat on the Judiciary Committee said that her Catholic faith was a concern to the Democrats on the committee. She actually said, and I quote, "The dogma lives loudly within you." And Hollywood elites have been criticizing Amy Coney Barrett's faith ever since. Well, I got a message for the Democrats in Washington and their friends in Hollywood. That dogma lives loudly in me. That dogma lives loudly in you. And the right to live and work and worship according to the dictates of our faith lives loudly in the Constitution of the United States of America. Under President Trump, we've stood for the freedom of religion. We repealed the Johnson Amendment and restored freedom of speech to every pulpit in America. We restored the conscience rights of doctors and nurses and charities. And President Donald Trump ended the assault on the little sisters of the poor, and the Supreme Court made it permanent. And finally, when you're talking about our most cherished values, I couldn't be more proud to serve alongside a president who stands without apology for the sanctity of human life. Thank you. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris support taxpayer funding of abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. And they're calling for a record increase in taxpayer funding of abortion at home and abroad. President Donald Trump is the most pro-life president in American history. So in our first 3 years, we rebuilt our military. We revived this economy. We stood for law and order, life, and liberties. And none of that would have been possible without the strong and consistent support of Arizona's Republicans in Congress. It's true. So right after you reelect President Donald Trump for 4 more years, and right after you reelect Senator Martha McSally to the United States Senate, we all need you to send Paul Gosar, Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen, and Tiffany Shedd to a new Republican majority in the House of Representatives and retire Nancy Pelosi once and for all. Out. She has got to go. You know, when you look at what we were able to accomplish when we had a Republican House and a Republican Senate, there's only one way you can describe it. In our first 3 years, we made America great again. And then 2020 arrived, and the coronavirus struck from China. But before the first documented case of community spread, men and women of Arizona, you deserve to know. President Trump did what no American president had ever done in our history. He suspended all travel from China, the second largest economy in the world. He put the health of America first. Now, Joe Biden said that was xenophobic. He actually wrote at the time that banning travel in a global pandemic would, quote, make things worse. But Joe Biden got it wrong. And President Trump got it right. I mean, I can tell you, President Trump's actions suspending travel from China saved untold American lives because it bought us invaluable time to stand up the greatest national mobilization since World War II. I mean, working closely with Governor Ducey and with governors around America, we reinvented testing. We saw to the manufacture of billions of supplies of PPE, ventilators. No American who ever required a ventilator was denied one. No one has ever required an ICU bed was denied one. We developed therapeutics and medicines. And we're just a short time away from when we will have the first safe coronavirus vaccine in the world with tens of millions of doses for the American people. You know, you all did an incredible job in Arizona during the outbreak across the Sun Belt this summer. It was a demonstration of the extraordinary work of your doctors and nurses, first responders, and the care and compassion of the people of this state. And as we see cases rise, particularly across the heartland and even somewhat here in Arizona, I want to assure you, we're going to continue to move heaven and earth to make sure that our doctors and nurses, and here in Arizona and everywhere in America, that every family has access to the health care that we'd want any member of our family to have. We're going to keep protecting the vulnerable. We're going to keep saving lives. We're going to develop life-saving medicines until the day comes when we have that vaccine and put this pandemic in the past. And in the midst of all of it, we are opening up America again. It's amazing to think, in the last 5 months, after losing 22 million jobs at the height of this pandemic, it's a testament to the foundation that we poured in those first 3 years, a testament to the unprecedented relief and recovery support that the congressman and the senator provided to families and to small businesses, and is a testament to the resilience and strength of the American people. We've already seen 11.5 million Americans go back to work, including 170,000 right here in the Grand Canyon state. Arizona's unemployment rate has been cut in half. And an Arizona comeback and an America comeback is underway. And let me just give credit where credit is due. I have to tell you, I called him one of the best in America at the start. But the progress you made all this year through this challenging time, the progress this summer during the outbreak, the progress that we'll all make until we put this in the past, is a credit to the compassionate and steady leadership of Governor Doug Ducey. Governor, thank you. Thank you for your strong leadership. But working with your governor, we're opening up America again, and the Arizona economy is roaring back. That's why you all deserve to know that Joe Biden is talking about shutting down our economy again. And the headlines yesterday told how several European countries are already starting to shut down. So you can bet that Joe Biden will lock down the American economy if he makes it to the White House. Your schools will be closed. Your churches, synagogues, and places of worship will be closed. Small businesses on Main Street will be shuttered again. Right at the moment that the American economy is coming back, Joe Biden said he would, quote, shut it down. But we're not going to let it happen. Right, Arizona? We're going to keep meeting this moment with American compassion and resolve. We're going to distribute the vaccine. We're going to defeat the virus. And where Joe Biden says we're in for a long, dark winter, President Trump knows the best is yet to come. So we've gone through a time of testing this year. But I expect you all came out on this beautiful day because you know that we're soon coming to a time for choosing. And the choice in this election has never been clearer. But the stakes have never been higher. I mean, Arizona's always played an outsized role in presidential politics. And the decision the people of Arizona will make this year could be the most important decision the people of Arizona have ever made. I mean, you look at their agenda: higher taxes, open borders, socialized medicine, a Green New Deal. It's clear. Joe Biden would be nothing more than a Trojan horse for the radical left. Now, Joe Biden has said that democracy is on the ballot. Well, I think our economic recovery is on the ballot. I think law and order are on the ballot. But I also truly believe that there are things much more foundational that are on the ballot as well. In this election, I think it's not going to be whether America ends up more Republican or more Democrat, more liberal or more conservative, more red or more blue. I think the choice in this election is whether America remains America. It's whether we're going to chart a course, build on our great American heritage of faith and family and freedom and patriotism and the limited government enshrined in the Constitution of the United States, or whether we're going to let Joe Biden and the Democratic Party surrender our country to the radical left, shut down our economy, and topple our heritage of freedom and traditional values, and lead our nation on an inevitable path to socialism and American decline. So let me say, for all the ideals and values that have always made this nation exceptional and great, for the freedom that generations of Americans have defended and bequeathed to us in our time, we need to decide right here and right now that Joe Biden will never be President of the United States. We're going to re-elect President Donald Trump for 4 more years. You know, you always hear people saying this is the most important election ever, but I think this might be the most important election in the life of this nation. You know, my wife's favorite poem is by Robert Frost. It says, "The 2 roads diverged in a woods, and I took the road less traveled by. And it made all the difference." You know, America now, for more than 2 centuries, has taken the road less traveled by. The road of freedom, of individual responsibility, of limited government, of the belief that our freedoms are a gift from God. And we need in this election to say with one voice that we are going to chart a course on everything that's made America great. We're going to chart a course of freedom here in Arizona and for America. I don't doubt it. You know, it really is great to be with all of you today. I have a couple of things I want to ask you to do before I catch a plane to Tucson. You know, I didn't know the president that well when he called me to join this ticket 4 years ago. I mean, I'd seen him on TV, but We'd only met a couple of times. But I got to tell you, I said yes in a heartbeat when he called. Because I knew he had the vision and he had the leadership qualities to bring this country back. You know, some people think we're a little bit different. But the truth is, we've become very close friends. And having served alongside this president every day for the last 4 years, I want to tell the people of Arizona this. Against unrelenting resistance, obstruction, and opposition by the Democrats in Washington, against unrelenting attacks by their allies in the national media, there has never been a day gone by that our president hasn't gotten up and fought to keep the promises that he made to the people of Arizona. Now it's our turn to fight for him. It's on, Arizona. We got 4 more days to win 4 more years. So I got a couple things I want to ask you to do. First and foremost, I checked, and you can actually do this today. First and foremost, I need you to vote, Arizona. Vote to re-elect President Donald Trump to the White House. All right? They who get the most votes win. I literally checked on the way here. You can vote early now. Karen and I voted early just the other day, back in the Hoosier State. But I'm told that today is actually the last day to vote early in person in Arizona. So after we get done here, you got plenty of time. I checked. You can go straight to the Coconino County Elections Office, Flagstaff Mall, 4650 on 89 North. It's right next to Dillard's. They're open till 7 tonight. Go vote, Arizona. Vote to re-elect President Donald Trump to the White House. And remember, friends don't let friends vote alone. Bring a family member. Bring a neighbor. And vote to re-elect our president. Vote to re-elect Senator McSally. Vote to re-elect these great congressmen. Vote victory in Arizona. Secondly, after you vote today or Tuesday with a friend, I need you to go tell somebody. Tell somebody why you feel so strongly about this president and everything we've done to bring this country back. In those first 3 years, all of the accomplishment we had, and then how this president, working with your governor, has steered us through one of the most challenging years of my lifetime. You know, I'll always believe the most powerful media in America is not your TV networks, it's not your newspapers, it's not even your social media. It's word of mouth. It's when someone who knows you and respects you hears from you about a candidate or a cause or an issue that you believe is important to them, to the state, and to the nation. So I just want you to reach out. And I want you to tell them all this president's accomplished. Tell them about the choice that we face in this election. And tell them about all that we can do with 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. You know, the president and I were on 60 Minutes the other night. The president got asked a question, though. He got asked a question, and the answer of which, it may be one of my favorite answers of his of all time. Because, as I've traveled around the country the last 4 years, I've gotten to meet an awful lot of folks who are part of this movement. And the reporter with 60 Minutes said to him, "How would you describe your supporters?" And he said without a moment's hesitation, "They are people who love our country." So go tell your neighbors and friends, if they love America, if they love all the ideals of America, we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. And finally, I would just ask you maybe to do one more thing if you're inclined, in all that remains between now and Election Day. If you're inclined to bow the head and bend the knee from time to time, I'd encourage you to do it. There was a little girl at the end of the vice presidential debate who sent in a question about how she was watching TV and she was concerned because the country just seemed so divided. But I tried to tell her that I'll always believe that there's more that unites this country than could ever divide us, and chief among those things is faith. This is a nation of faith. And so if you're so inclined, I'd encourage you over the next 4 days to pray for America. And when you pray, pray with confidence in those ancient words. It's a promise, really, that Americans have clung to throughout the generations. That if His people who are called by His name will humble themselves and pray and turn, that He'll do like He's always done in the long and storied history of this country. He'll hear from heaven and He'll heal this land. This one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So pray for America. Pray for all the American people. So I want to thank you all for coming out today. You are really, and I haven't been able to watch them, but this crowd behind me is just amazing too. And all of you who are here and all of you that couldn't be here, let me just say, I leave here today on to Tucson with renewed confidence that come November 3rd, we're going to deliver a great victory all across Arizona and all across America. And with Senator Martha McSally in a renewed Republican majority in the United States Senate, with Congressman Paul Gosar, Congressman Mark Wayne Mullen, and Tiffany Shedd in a new Republican majority in the House of Representatives. And with President Donald Trump back in the White House for 4 more years, and with God's help, we're going to make America great again. Again. Thank you all very much. God bless you. God bless America. Now let's go get it done, Arizona.